travel through grief. There's something intoxicating about day one. Day one is shiny. Day one is cinematic. Day one is the moment you finally say, okay, I'm doing this. It's the new journal, the fresh yarn, the clean needles, the crisp calendar page. It's the moment you decide to move after grief, after stillness, after fear, after waiting. But the truth no one tells you is this. Day one is the easiest day. It's the days after day one. It's the day 2, the day 3, the day 10, even the day 147. This is where the journey becomes real. It's where the excitement fades and the work begins. Where the emotional weight of what you've started settles into your hands. And that's what we're talking about today. Welcome back to Travel Through Grief, and this is where we explore how movement, which is physical, emotional, creative, helps you rebuild your life after loss. I'm Ellen Beckemeyer, your host. Welcome to Travel Through Grief. Today's episode is about the quiet courage required not to begin, but to continue. And to explore that, we're going to talk about something. We're going to talk about knitting, not just as a hobby, but as a metaphor for the way grief and transition weave themselves into your life. Because knitting teaches you something essential about the days after day one. The pattern doesn't emerge on the first row. You know that feeling the day after you start something? You wake up and the adrenaline from day one has already evaporated. The clarity you felt yesterday is foggier. The motivation is a lot quieter. The doubts, they're so much louder. You might even think, why did I start this? What was I thinking? Who am I to even try this right now? This is normal. This is human. This is the emotional hangover of just beginning. In grief, this moment can feel even heavier because starting something, anything, after loss, it's not just an action. It's an emotional risk. It's a declaration that you're willing to move again, even when part of you is terrified of what movement might mean. And the day after you begin again, well, that's kind of when the fear shows up. Now, that's not to stop you, but what it is to test your commitment. This is the moment where you learn whether you're doing this for real or whether you were only in love with the idea of beginning. Now, knitting was one of those clear metaphors for the days after day one, because knitting doesn't reward you on the first row, or even the second, or even the third. You cast on. That's day one. It feels so good. It feels hopeful. It feels like possibility. But then you start stitching, and suddenly you're just not inspired. You're counting. You're adjusting tension. You're trying to remember that rhythm. You're wondering if you're even doing it right. This is the emotional truth of continuing. Knitting teaches you that progress is slow. That beauty emerges row by row, though. That the pattern only reveals itself after repetition. And grief teaches you the same thing. You don't heal on day one. You don't even transform on day one. And what you don't do, you don't rebuild your life on day one. All you do is you begin. And then you just have to continue. And then you continue again. You see, knitting is the art of showing up, and so is healing. Knitting is repetitive, stitch after stitch, row after row, but it's also creative. The color, the texture, the pattern, the shape. And grief is the same way. There are days when everything feels repetitive. You wake up, you breathe, then you just kind of survive. And then it's repeat. There are days when you feel stuck in the same emotional loop. And then there are days when you wonder if anything is changing even at all. But then there are moments, small, surprising moments, when creativity returns, when you finally feel a spark, when you imagine something new, and when you sense possibility again. Repetition and creativity are not opposites. They are partners. You see, repetition gives you stability, and creativity gives you direction. And the days after day one, well, I think they require both. You need the repetition, and you need the discipline of showing up. And you need the creativity, the willingness to imagine what could be. Knitting teaches you that the pattern emerges only when repetition and creativity, when they work together. And healing, well, that teaches you the same thing. Now, here's the part people don't like to talk about. You can't stay on day one forever. I know how much you want to, but you just can't. You can't keep casting and you never stitching. You can't keep planning and never moving. You can't keep imagining and never acting on it. In grief, it's so easy to stay frozen. Believe me, I know. To stay housebound, to stay in the familiar pain, because it kind of does feel safer than the unknown. To stay in the stillness because movement, well, that just feels like betrayal. Betrayal of your past, of your loved one, of the version of yourself you used to be. But staying frozen is not healing. It's hiding. And I think you deserve more than hiding. This is why giving yourself a timeline matters. Now, I'm not saying a harsh deadline, not a punishment, but a compassionate boundary. A moment where you say, I will give myself space to feel this, but I will not let myself disappear inside it. You see, movement is not the enemy. Movement is medicine. And the days after day one are where the medicine begins to work. Now, when you start something after grief, like a project, even a habit, a hobby, a healing practice, maybe a meditation, you form an emotional attachment to the effort itself. Not so much the outcome, not the finished product, not even the scarf or the blanket or the sweater, but you form it around the effort, because the effort is proof that you are still here, that you're still trying, that you're still capable of creating something in a world that has taken so much from you. Knitting becomes more than just knitting, and movement becomes more than movement. Continuing becomes more than continuing. There's a lot of mores there, isn't there? It becomes a declaration. I am not done yet. And that declaration is so powerful, but it's also very vulnerable. Because the days after day one are when you realize how much this effort means to you and how afraid you are of losing it. This is why continuing feels so emotional. You're not just stitching yarn, you're stitching yourself back together. Now, every knitter knows this truth. Sometimes you have to unravel. Sometimes you have to drop a stitch. Sometimes you even lose the pattern. And sometimes the tension is just wrong. Now, sometimes you look at what you've made and think, this just isn't working. So you pull the yarn, you undo the rows, and then you find yourself, you're going backwards. And grief has days like this too. Days when you feel like you're unraveling. Days when you feel like you're losing progress. Days when you feel like you're back at the beginning. But I'm here to tell you, unraveling is not failure. Unraveling is part of the process. It's kind of like when you write a book and you have to edit. Knitting teaches you that going backward is sometimes the only way to move forward. Healing teaches you the same thing. The days after day one are not linear. They are loops. They are spirals. They are rows that need to be redone, and that's okay. Because unraveling is not the end. It's an invitation to begin again, with more wisdom, clarity, compassion for yourself. There is a moment in knitting, and you don't always know when it will happen, when you look down and realize, oh, there it is, the pattern. It's subtle at first, a shift in texture, a rhythm in the stitches, a shape beginning to form, and suddenly the repetition makes sense. That effort makes sense. Even the unraveling makes sense. This moment happens in healing too. Not on day one, not even close, but somewhere in the days after. Day 10, 30, day 100, you notice something. You are breathing, thinking, moving, and imagining things differently. The pattern, it's emerging. Not because you forced it, not because you rushed it, but because you keep showing up. Knitting teaches you that beauty is slow. Healing teaches you that transformation is slow. But slow is not the same as stuck. I want to tell you, slow is sacred. Movement, that's not really about speed. It's not about productivity. It's not even about proving anything. What movement is about is staying alive and inside of yourself, inside of your own life. In grief, this movement is a lifeline, you guys. A way to keep from disappearing. It's a way to stay connected to the world. A way to remind your body that it still belongs here. Movement, whether that be knitting, walking, breathing, even trying again, that's movement. And continuing, that's always movement. And the days after day one are where movement becomes medicine. Not because it fixes everything, but it keeps you from staying frozen. Movement just doesn't erase grief, but it does carry you through it. The courage to begin, it's beautiful. But the courage to continue, that's just sacred. Because continuing requires honesty, patience, discipline, compassion. It requires the willingness to face yourself again and again. Knitting teaches you that the masterpiece is not created on day one. It is created in the days after. In the repetition, in that unraveling, it's in the restitching. It's in the quiet persistence of your own hands. Healing is the same. You don't rebuild your life in one dramatic moment. You rebuild it stitch by stitch, day by day, and breath by breath. And if today is your day 2 or your day 10 or your day 100, if you're somewhere in the middle of the beginning, I want you to hear this. You're doing it. You're continuing. You're showing up. In essence, you're stitching something new into your life. And frankly, that's just enough. More than enough. It's courage. I want to thank you for spending this time with me today on Travel Through Grief. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who might need a reminder that beginnings are beautiful. but continuing is where the real transformation happens. So until next time, keep stitching, keep moving, and keep beginning again. If this episode connected with you, I'd love for you to follow our podcast, leave a review, or share it with someone who may need it. Those small actions truly help new podcasts like Travel Through Grief grow and reach more people. And thank you to everyone who has already listened, rated, reviewed, and supported this journey. I appreciate you more than you know. Until next time, keep finding your way forward.